Okay, friends, I have just watched Fantasia for the very first time, and I am really confused. Hello, friends, and welcome to another journey on the Great Movie Ride train. If you guys have been following my channel, you know that I've been doing some collaborations with my friend Teacup for One and several other channels over the recreation of the Great Movie Ride. So if you're here, you're a Disney fan, and you know that Hollywood Studios used to have a ride called the Great Movie Ride that has since been replaced by Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. So in order to pay homage to the Great Movie Ride, my friend Matt over at Teacup for One has come up with this amazing collaboration where every week he brings you a new movie from the Great Movie Ride. And I'll tell you, I have been very surprised by some of the movies that have been a part of the Great Movie Ride, as I never got to experience it myself. So today's movie is Fantasia. Hence, I'm wearing my red top and my Sorcerer Mickey ears. So going into Fantasia, I had no expectations other than to see Mickey as the Sorcerer's Apprentice, making creepy little brooms, sweep around the place, and do things for him. That is it. I expected literally the whole film to be about Mickey as the Sorcerer's Apprentice. I was shook, to say the least, to find that not only is it not just about Mickey as the Sorcerer's Apprentice, but Mickey as the Sorcerer's Apprentice is only a little tiny bit of the whole 2-hour movie. Like a little tiny bit. So this right here, that's all like, hey, I'm Sorcerer Mickey, no longer seems completely appropriate. So let me change this a little bit. This is better. So from my experience from watching Fantasia, this whole rainbow get up with my rainbow Mickey balloon, so Mickey's still in here, my rainbow Mickey balloon ears, this is more appropriate of Fantasia, because the whole movie, aside from that one scene with Mickey as the Sorcerer's Apprentice, is a hodgepodge of music and color. So normally when I do these videos for the Great Movie Ride, I'm making cocktails that are based on various characters in the movie. But as you know, in Fantasia, there's no real character development. They're just like playful scenes with characters in them, whether they be Mickey or dinosaurs or centaurs or hippos. Like, there's just randomness. The whole movie to me is completely random, and I'm pretty sure there are some theater fanatics that are going to come at me for saying the random word in connection with Fantasia, but that is what I pulled from it. Now, that is why I just brought to you the whole bar today. We're gonna do 3 cocktails. The first one is going to be a cocktail made with Bacardi Mango, Peach Schnapps, and Midori for color. The color green is representing all of the growth and the development of the earth, and just kind of the life that you see and the playfulness of the centaurs, and just fun. So that's our green drink. And we have, you know, the scene with like where the earth was like nothing and it was just gas and nothingness and abstractness, and then you get like the single cell organisms for lack of it. So then you get the single cell organisms, and then all of a sudden we have dinosaurs, right? So this drink is going to represent more of the earth. So we have here Bacardi, ginger liqueur, and some ginger beer. And then last and certainly not least, we're just gonna have something really sweet and colorful to kind of represent the playfulness and the colorfulness of all of the centaurs and the centaurettes and that whole scene in the Pastoral Symphony. So no particular characters, just kind of the movie scene. So all of that is fun. All of that is great and good, and Fantasia is this historical movie and it's iconic, but I have never seen it before. Like, this was literally, for this collaboration, was my first time ever actually seeing Fantasia. So the one thing about the movie that sparked my interest was this. This disclaimer reads, "This program includes negative depictions and/or mistreatment of people or cultures. These stereotypes were wrong then and are wrong now. Rather than remove this content, we want to acknowledge its harmful impact, learn from it, and spark conversation to create a more inclusive future together." And then there's a link to Disney.com website where you can go to Disney.com/Stories Matter and find out more information about this disclaimer. Naturally, the disclaimer like sparks some interest from me, right? And so I was like, well, why would they need a disclaimer like this on a movie that's designed for kids? So I watched Fantasia on Disney Plus, and I was thoroughly confused because there wasn't anything that I saw on the Disney Plus version that warranted a disclaimer like that. And so, of course, I couldn't just let that go. I'm like, Disney wouldn't put that disclaimer there if there wasn't something there, right? So, of course, I had to then go to the Google and get some of the 411 as to why Disney felt like we needed such a disclaimer on Fantasia. And I know some people may think like some of the other scenes, like in the Nutcracker scene, may have been, you know, what triggered that morning. But I don't know, none of those scenes seemed to be cultural appropriations or, you know, negative cultural, like nothing in those scenes like said to me like there's something that warrants a disclaimer. So I did a little research and I came across Sunflower. Okay, now my understanding from these disclaimers is that, you know, they're intended to let you know that there's something in the movie that's culturally sensitive and it's inappropriate now, and Disney is acknowledging that. But there was nothing in Fantasia that fit that description until I found Sunflower. Then I was like, well, this is interesting, because my understanding from all the other movies that have this cultural notice is those scenes are still in the movie. But if you've never seen Fantasia and you've never Googled it and you've never seen the original and you've only seen what's on Disney Plus, do you have any idea about this character? Well, neither did I. And so I started to do a little bit more research to learn like what happened to Sunflower. So what's the controversy about Sunflower? The controversy about Sunflower is she is a racist caricature of what people thought Black people looked like back in 1940s. Not in real life, but for their own personal humor, this is how they depicted Black people. You know, Sunflower was only in 4 scenes in the Pastoral Symphony with the centaurs. She was a servant girl to the little centaurettes, And there was another very similar character that they've named Atika. And she was, you know, also in that scene. This movie is historical, it's fiction, you know, this is how people, you know, this is just what happened in 1940. But as we all know, just because something happened in a certain period of time doesn't make it right. Doesn't mean that we should keep perpetuating that thing. So in 1969, Disney did re-releases of Fantasia, and since 1969, Sunflower has not been in the Fantasia releases. And, you know, I have mixed feelings about it. I don't think this version of Sunflower should be in any version of Fantasia, but I don't know that the character should have been taken out altogether. I just find it very interesting that the answer to including a culturally inappropriate depiction of a little black centaurette, or I guess she wouldn't have even been considered a centaur because she didn't have like the horse's body, she had like a donkey's body. So whatever her character would have been, I mean, she was clearly a young black servant girl. And she was designed to be laughed upon and to have features that were so extremely exaggerated that they were comical. So it almost made her sort of less than the other characters, because, you know, it wasn't just that the little black centaurette was the servant, because you had the little cherubs, the cupids, they were servants as well to the centaurettes in some fashion, but they were also depicted as cute little cherub babies. And it's highly offensive, the way that she was depicted, especially for a film that was designed for children who were going to look at this. And you have a little black kid looking at this and they're going to say, what, is that what we look like? We don't look like that. Like, why, you know, why do the characters who were designed for the white people look more like natural white people, and then the characters who's designed for me look less like me? So I think they made a wise decision to address Little Sunflower. But I also feel like taking her out altogether created a different problem, because we are a part of the narrative. Black people are a part of the narrative. We are still a part of the story. So you can't just erase her. You can't just ignore her. You have to acknowledge her existence. You have to know that Sunflower existed, just not in the form that you created. And so the decision to just take her out altogether is almost equally as offensive, because now you're just trying to write. It's like, you can be in a narrative if you're one way, but if you can't be that one way, you can't remain in the narrative. So we're just gonna write you out. And I don't think that that was the actual appropriate approach for that particular scenario. And part of the reason I feel that way is because if you continue on the scenes past where Sunflower was, and you go to the scene where the little, I don't know, the little fat guy, I think he was drunk, to be honest. Like, I don't know what, like, he was supposed to be jovial and happy. Dude looked drunk, right? Like, and he's coming in and he has these beautiful these women were clearly black women, zebras, right? And they're putting flowers down. Like, they're serving him as well. But they're gorgeous, right? They're beautiful. And that just and they are a lighter shade of brown than Little Sunflower, and they get to remain in the narrative. There is a lot of colorism in our community, in the Black community, and I feel like by removing Sunflower altogether, rather than making her characteristics more human and less cartoonish, and then keeping the beautiful lighter skinned Black zebra people, animals in the film, you're actually perpetuating that colorism. So you go from one problem that you're trying to solve, and then you create a whole different problem. And maybe everybody doesn't see it that way. Maybe I am the only person in the world who thinks that, you know, by removing Sunflower, they didn't fix the issue. But my opinion is it didn't fix the issue. It's one of those things where it's like, I'm glad you recognize that there's a problem, and I really think you should do something about the problem, but the thing that you did, it didn't solve it. It's like, because if they had never put that disclaimer on the beginning of the movie, I would have never, ever looked up Sunflower, or looked up the controversy that was Sunflower. I would have watched a movie and been mildly entertained. Okay, it wasn't the most fascinating movie, but I do like classical music, so you know, the movie was just like, okay, but I could have the music without the movie and be just fine. So it wasn't like, it's not something that it's not a Disney movie that I'm going to find myself watching over and over and over again. But it's interesting, because had they not put the disclaimer, I wouldn't have known anything about Sunflower. Like, it would not even have caused me to go and look it up to find out what is a controversy, and to understand and to learn that there was this little Black girl in this film with everybody else, and now she's just disappeared. And I don't think that that's the right way to handle it. They should have kept her in, toned down her features to make her look human like everybody else in this whole entire scene, and not be that. Like, I don't think removing her from, you can't just remove Black people from the narrative because it makes you uncomfortable and think, okay, well, you know, I've addressed my culturally inappropriate action by just taking you out of the picture. No, it does not work that way. You can't just take me out the picture. Like, I exist, I'm here, and I am not going anywhere. So fix me in the picture, make it right, don't remove me from the narrative. And don't send a message that you can remove what you perceive to be as ugly versions of me while you retain the pretty versions of me. That, to me, is the biggest problem. The one thing that I try to teach my kids is that they are beautiful. And this is a hard world. I mean, this is some, I know we like our Disney videos to be fun, but it is a hard road for young Black kids in America. Let me just put it on the table and put it out there, okay? We struggle with definitions of beauty from within. We struggle with definitions of beauty from general society. We struggle with definitions of beauty from within our own community. It is a struggle. It is a struggle whether you're a little Black boy or whether you are a little Black girl. Okay? So no, fixing it by removing what you deem to be the not so beautiful version of me is not a fix. okay? You have to make me look like me. That was the fix. Make Sunflower look like she should have looked. A nice little chocolate. They didn't have to change her skin complexion because that is a natural complexion in the Black community. Just get rid of the little pickaninny looking hair and all of the little stereotypical features and just make her look human. That was the fix, okay? That is how you fix it. Not just removing her from the narrative altogether. Maintaining the other creatures, I don't know what to call these things, because they're not the centaurs. They're not the centaurs because they're not the horses' bodies, but the black zebras, by maintaining the black zebras who were clearly deemed to be beautiful. And when you look at them, you see beauty. It's just, it perpetuates a very different stereotype. And that's a stereotype that may even be more harmful than the caricature stereotype. Because now you are basically telling Black people, people who are black people who look like this are beautiful and they are worthy of staying in the narrative. Black people who look like that are not beautiful, they're not worthy of staying in the narrative. That is not the message. And I'm guessing that when these changes were made, these were not the things that were considered. I do in my heart believe that at the time when they removed Sunflower from the film, they thought that that was the right thing to do to fix the issue. Because when you don't live an issue, you don't think about the bigger picture. You don't think about the little nuanced impacts. You cannot just remove Black people from the story. You can't. We're here. We're not going anywhere. When I think about the disclaimer that Disney put in, I'm like, okay, I get what you're trying to do. I'm going to try and ignore the fact that you're not trying to lose money, because you lose billions of dollars by pulling all of these films, right? Like, so I mean, there is some humanitarian connection with trying to do the right thing, but let's be clear. Walt Disney is a company. It is a corporation, and regardless of the idealistic dreams, they are not trying to lose a dollar by pulling movies from Disney Plus or Disney Movie Club or any DVD. They're not trying to pull their movies. Pulling movies means losing dollars, and nobody's going to do that. So they put up a little disclaimer. I get it. I'm there with you. Okay, so we're not even going to talk about that. So we're just going to assume that the disclaimer was put up there for strictly humanitarian purposes. And I appreciate it, because when you see the disclaimer, I mean, not everybody's going to do it, but for the most part, for me, the disclaimer did exactly what it was supposed to do. It made me think. It made me watch Fantasia with a very critical eye to observe, what are they doing here that they need to call out? And when I didn't see what was being done that needed to be called out, like when it wasn't completely obvious, I went to search and do a little digging and do a little reading. And I think, and now I'm talking to you, and I want you to talk to me, and I want you to tell me what you think about the disclaimer. I want you to tell me what you think about the removal of Sunfire, because this is what the disclaimer was intended to do, right? To spark conversation. So let's have a conversation. It is not a comfortable conversation. It is not a comfortable conversation if you're a Black person. It is not a comfortable conversation if you're a white person. It is not a comfortable conversation if you are an Asian person or an Indian person or a South American person or an Australian person or a Canadian person. Wherever you're from, whatever your label is, whatever your race is, it is not a comfortable conversation. But it is a conversation that we should be having, and not in the, the race baiting way or in the blame-worthy way, but in a way where you're actually having productive conversations. I offered what I thought would be my solution to keep Sunflower in the film. That would be my solution. Bring Sunflower back to Fantasia, but fix her features to make her human and not a caricature, because not one other character in that sequence is such an exaggerated caricature. Okay? Bring her back. Bring her back. That is my plea to Disney. You can redo it anytime that you want, so redo it and bring her back, and bring her back the right way. I'm really glad that Disney did put the disclaimer up, because it gave me something to think about. It gave me something to ponder, and I hope it gives you guys something to ponder when you're watching these films and you see that disclaimer. Think about why they put it up there. Because the interesting thing is, I went to the disney.com / Stories Matter website, and they had some examples of scenes in movies that had prompted them to add the disclaimer. However, Fantasia wasn't one of them. So I thought it was quite interesting that that Fantasia wasn't there. And I think it's because, I don't know, I'm only speculating, but I think it could partially be because of the fact that the scene to which they were referring to isn't actually a scene that is in Fantasia, but they knew it was a scene that was historically a part of Fantasia. And so that is my best guess as to why they didn't address that particular scene. So guys, that's all I have to say about Fantasia, to be honest with you. I just made a big old mess on my counter here, but I did make a really, really pretty drink. So here we have it. Our colorful array of cocktails to celebrate Fantasia and all of her randomness. And now we're gonna taste them really quickly because they really do look yummy, but I've never mixed any of these flavors together before. So remember, this one was mango Bacardi, peach schnapps, and Midori. That is really good. It's a little sweet. I always end up feeling like I put way too much schnapps when I use schnapps in drinks. So I would do 1 part of the Bacardi, half a part of the peach schnapps, and 1 part of the Midori. And then this one was Bacardi, ginger liqueur, and ginger beer. And my hope is that this will be more like a very refreshing palate cleansing type drink that would represent kind of the earth in the movie. Oh, the ginger is really strong in this. It tastes like a ginger drink. My ginger beer must be a little flat. Because this is tasting a little flat. Maybe it just sat here too long. So drink this like maybe immediately after you pour so it doesn't taste flat. Or maybe try something with like strong bubbles, like a spark, just like a drop of sparkling water, just to kind of give it like that fizz, and that would make this really good. Like if you like a ginger type drinks, this is really refreshing for the summer. And then here we just had some Bacardi, pineapple juice, grenadine, and blue curacao. This, I'm guessing, is going to be a little sweet for my taste because I didn't have that much Bacardi and it's a lot of juice. You can do this with orange juice as well, but I prefer pineapple juice to orange juice. And if you want to maintain the colors, you might want to try to pull it with a straw. That's actually good if you like the juice. Like, there's a lot of pineapple juice in there, but it's not too sweet. And having the vodka on the rum on top, maybe just top it off again because we still have extra. Okay, and when you guys do this with the spoon, when you're pouring it over the back of the spoon to layer in the top layer, the reason you're doing that is because you want the color to go in slowly so it doesn't sink to the bottom. Tilt the spoon down. I held the spoon straight and I have like blue liquid everywhere. But how pretty! Alright guys, so we are going live tonight at 8 p.m. on Teacup for One to finish this discussion. So why don't you join us there and chat with me. If you missed the live, catch it on replay. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really enjoy having this conversation with you. You know, it's a little bit more heavy than what I'm used to, but at the same time, I feel like it's a conversation worth having. And if you don't agree, then this is definitely not the channel for you, because while this isn't the focus of this channel, this probably won't be the last conversation that we have like this together. So, you know, you want to be a part of the community, be a part of the community. You got to take the happy with the sad and the good with the bad, you know? Otherwise, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm so glad you were here. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up. If you didn't enjoy this video, still give it a big thumbs up, because if you're still watching this, why? Why? Other than you wanted to hear what I had to say. So participate in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe on your way out. Thank you for coming. Check us out on Teacup for One tonight on the live stream, 8 p.m. Walt Disney World time. And grab a cocktail and have a great day. Bye.